U.S. President Joe Biden and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi hailed a new era in India-U.S. ties after the White House rolled out the red carpet for the Indian Prime Minister, signing deals aimed at countering China's influence. The two countries announced agreements on semiconductors, critical minerals, technology, space cooperation, and defense cooperation. Amid China's territorial ambitions, Washington is working to deepen ties with the world's largest democracy and seize deeper military-to-military and technology ties in its future. The United States is India's largest trading partner, and some of the new agreements are aimed at diversifying supply chain to reduce dependence on Beijing. Others are aimed at cornering the market in advanced technologies that may feature on the battlefield of the future. U.S. President and Indian Prime Minister also ended disputes at the World Trade Organization, and India removed some tariffs on U.S. goods. Biden and Prime Minister Modi signed off a deal that would allow U.S.-based General Electric to produce engines for military aircraft on Indian soil. While India can manufacture jets domestically, it has now secured the technical know-how to make aircraft engines. The country intends to produce more than 350 fighter jets for its Air Force and Navy over the next 2 decades. Under a maritime agreement, U.S. Navy ships in the region will be able to stop in Indian shipyards for repairs. As per the joint statement, Biden and Prime Minister Modi welcomed India's plans to procure General Atomics MQ-9B drones. The drones, which will be assembled in India, will enhance the intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance capabilities of the nation's armed forces across domains. General Atomics will establish a global maintenance, repair, and overhaul facility in India to support New Delhi's long-term goals to boost indigenous defense capabilities. U.S. chipmaker Micron Technology plans a $2.7 billion semiconductor testing and packaging unit to be built in the Indian state of Gujarat. Boeing has announced a $100 million investment in infrastructure and programs to train pilots in India. The U.S. will also make it easier for skilled Indian workers to get and renew U.S. visas. India also agreed to join the U.S.-led Artemis Accord on space exploration. New Delhi also agreed to work with NASA on a joint mission to the International Space Station in 2024. In his second address to the joint setting of the U.S. Congress, the Indian Prime Minister underlined a free and open Indo-Pacific being crucial.
The dark clouds of coercion and confrontation are casting their shadow in the Indo-Pacific. The stability of the region has become one of the central concerns of our partnership. We share a vision of a free, open, and inclusive Indo-Pacific.
The India-U.S. bond is underpinned by not just global politics, but also business and economics. Trade between the United States and India in 2022 climbed to a record $191 billion. The two nations earlier launched a collaborative technology initiative which eyes on future development. Washington and New Delhi have been moving closer for over 2 decades now. Successive U.S. presidents have displayed bipartisan support for stronger ties with the emerging Asian economy and regional power. President Joe Biden has built on that legacy and expanded cooperation. The last leg of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's state visit to the U.S. begins today. An official State Department lunch, discussion with leading American CEOs, and a diaspora outreach. These are the engagements planned for Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the final day of his U.S. visit. Prime Minister Modi begins his engagements with an Indian-U.S. high-tech handshake event at the White House. This includes meeting with entrepreneurs and CEOs and representatives from various companies. As per report, the Prime Minister is also expected to have a one-on-one business meeting with Google's CEO, Sundar Pichai. Following the meeting, Vice President Kamala Harris and Secretary of State Antony Blinken will be hosting a state lunch for Prime Minister Modi. This will include officials from the State Department as well. After the state lunch, he will engage with influential figures and leaders from civil society at the Kennedy Center. This will also include prominent corporate honchos and personalities. Prime Minister Modi's final engagement will be interacting with members of the Indian diaspora and Indo-US community, including community leaders. This is expected to take place at the Reagan Center in Washington, D.C. Okay, for more on this, our principal diplomatic correspondent, Siddhan Sabal, sent us this update. Take a look.
Today is the last day of a very hectic visit, but a visit that reaffirmed India-US relationship as not only the most consequential relationship, but relationship that defined the direction of the world as well in many ways as to how these two large democracies engage with each other. Now, we know that today the Indian Prime Minister meets CEOs of several companies, including Apple, Microsoft, and Google, and he engages with the diaspora as well, something that has been a permanent fixture of his travels abroad. There is almost presence of 4 million members of the Indian American diaspora, and in fact these diaspora members have been keen to form the living bridge between United States and India. But essentially the big focus all through the visit has been key outcomes, whether it's defense, critical technologies, trade, or whether it's opening of new consulates that show that there has been increased interest from people of the two sides to engage with each other, whether it's for tourism, whether it's for new opportunities, or whether it is for education as well. Essentially, when we look forward, there will be more engagements, including a visit by the US President Joe Biden to India in September for the G20 summit. Siddhan Sabal for WION in Washington.
To give us a clearer understanding of this story and Prime Minister Modi's visit and its outcome, we are joined by Dr. Rafiq Dosani. Dr. Dosani is the director of the RAND Center for Asia Pacific Policy. He is a senior economist and also a professor of policy analyst. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
So, Dr. Dosani, apart from the pomp and parade, there was also progress on the trade front, something that India and the United States haven't always seen eye to eye. The two countries agreed to terminate 6 outstanding disputes at the World Trade Organization and announced deals with General Electric and Micron as well. Can you tell us about the significance of this breakthrough in trade?
So, I think there's a symbolic significance and there's the real significance. We wouldn't know the real significance for a while. It depends on how much follow through there is. I mean, for example, if you look at Micron's decision to invest $2.5 billion in India in the chip industry, that's on testing and packaging. Testing and packaging is a component of chip manufacture, but it's not the essence of it. To set up a proper semiconductor facility requires large investments, 25 billion or so. And, if Micron then comes in, has a good experience with what it does in Gujarat, and then says, yes, we'd like to invest more, that would be excellent. And that's exactly how it happened in countries like, with US investment or other countries' investment in China, for example. So I would say the size of what's been agreed to me, appears more symbolic than real, but it could become something bigger over time. I think on the military side, there's probably more substance than on the trade side. I mean, getting rid of 6 WTO disputes, very nice, but, hardly the substance of great news.
And how do you view the outcome of Prime Minister Modi's trip to the United States ultimately? How long will it take for us to see tangible results, so to say, not only on defense, but notably people-to-people relations as well? I know there was talk about visas and also, getting talent from India coming to the U.S. and whatnot.
There's plenty of talent coming from India to the US. That's why you have so many CEOs in the US top 5, Fortune 500 companies who are Indians, which is remarkable. I don't think it has any parallel in history of the US. So I think that's good. Let more come. The Chinese population of students is coming down because of the relationship. I think Indians have the scale and the capability to make up that difference and more. So I think that's a good thing to happen. I mean, as I was saying, again, something that's more symbolic than real. We'll have to see what impact that has.
All right. Well, we'll be watching very closely. And thank you so much for that frank analysis. I look forward to speaking to you again very soon on WION.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.